Jeffrey Allen Ament is an American musician and songwriter who serves as the bassist for the American rock band Pearl Jam. Along with Stone Gossard, McCready, and Eddie Vedder, he is one of the founding members of Pearl Jam. Ament is also known for his work prior to Pearl Jam with the 1980s Seattle-based grunge rock bands Green River and Mother Love Bone, and is particularly notable for his work with the fretless bass, upright bass, and 12-string bass guitar. Ament is also a member of the bands Three Fish, TAS MTS, and RNDM. In 2008, Ament released his first solo album, Tone. A second solo album, While My Heart Beats, followed in 2012. Biography. Early life. The first of 5 children, Ament was born in Avoy, Montana to George and Penny Ament and grew up in the town of Big Sandy, Montana, a town with a population of fewer than 700. Ament's father George was mayor of Big Sandy for 15 years, as well as a barber and a school bus driver. Ament described his family growing up as pretty poor, and hardcore Catholic. Ament has one brother, Barry. He began playing the bass guitar as a teenager, often playing along with Ramones, The Clash, and the Police records. Ament participated in basketball, football, and track at Big Sandy High School, from which he graduated in 1981. He then went on to college at the University of Montana in Missoula, Montana, where he studied art and played basketball. Ament quit college in the middle of his second year after the university told him they were no longer going to continue its graphic design program. Ament then relocated to Seattle, Washington in 1983 with his band Arranged Diction. While in Seattle, Ament got a job working at a coffee shop in Belltown. Green River. Ament became acquainted with fellow Seattle musicians Mark and Steve Turner, and he was asked to join their new band Green River in 1984. The band also included drummer Alex Vincent, with guitarist Stone Gossard eventually being added to the lineup. By the time the band finished the recording of its debut EP, Come On Down, Turner decided to leave the group, citing his distaste with Ament and Gossard's heavy metal leanings. He was replaced by Ament's former Deranged Diction bandmate, Bruce Fairweather. The band released the EP Come On Down in 1985 and followed it up with Dry as a Bone in 1987, the first release on Sub Pop Records. The band's only full-length studio album, Rehab Doll, was released in 1988. Infighting within the band led to the group's breakup during the recording of Rehab Doll. A stylistic division had developed between Ament and Gossard on one side, and on the other. Ament and Gossard wanted to pursue a major label deal, while wanted to remain independent, viewing the duo as being too careerist. Regarding the accusation, Ament later said that during his time with the band he had to work at a restaurant in order to pay his rent, while the other members were supported by their parents. He said, "Did I want to play music and have my rent paid for? Hell yeah." The band achieved a considerable local reputation in Seattle and had a significant influence on the genre later known as grunge, with Green River being described as arguably the first grunge band. Mother Love Bone. Following Green River's dissolution, Ament established Mother Love Bone in 1988 along with former Green River members Gossard and Fairweather, former Malfunction frontman Andrew Wood, and former 10 Minute Warning and Skin Yard drummer Greg Gilmore. The band quickly worked on recording and performing locally and by late 1988 had become one of Seattle's more promising bands. In early 1989 the band signed to Polygram subsidiary Mercury Records. In March of that year the group issued its debut EP, Shine. In late 1989 the group returned to the studio to record its debut studio album, Apple. It was planned for a March 1990 release. Only days before the release of Apple, however, frontman Wood, who had a long history with drug problems, overdosed on heroin. After spending a few days in the hospital in a coma, Wood died, effectively bringing Mother Love Bone to an end. Apple was released later that year. Temple of the Dog. Following Wood's death, Ament and Gossard almost parted company. Ament briefly spent time in the band War Babies, but he eventually got back together with Gossard and a childhood friend of Gossard's named Mike McCready. The trio were attempting to form their own band when they were invited to be part of the Temple of the Dog project founded by Soundgarden's Chris Cornell as a musical tribute to Andrew Wood. Cornell had been Wood's roommate. Ament described the collaboration as a really good thing at the time for him and Gossard that put them into a band situation where we could play and make music. The band's lineup was completed by the addition of Soundgarden drummer Matt Cameron. The band started rehearsing songs that Cornell had written on tour prior to Wood's death, as well as reworking some existing material from demos written by Gossard and Ament. This project eventually featured vocalist Eddie Vedder, who had arrived in Seattle to audition to be the singer for Ament and Gossard's next band, which later became Pearl Jam. Vedder sang a duet with Cornell on the song Hunger Strike, and provided background vocals on several other songs. The band decided that it had enough material for an entire album and, in April 1991, Temple of the Dog was released through R&M Records. Pearl Jam Pearl Jam was formed in 1990 by Ament, Gossard, and McCready, who then recruited Vedder and drummer Dave Crescent. The band originally took the name Mookie Blaylock, but was forced to change it when the band signed to Epic Records in 1991. After the recording sessions for 10 were completed, Crescent left Pearl Jam in May 1991. Crescent was replaced by Matt Chamberlain, who had previously played with Edie Brickell and New Bohemians. After playing only a handful of shows, one of which was filmed for the Alive video, Chamberlain left to join the Saturday Night Live band. As his replacement, Chamberlain suggested Dave Abruzzese, who joined the group and played the rest of Pearl Jam's live shows supporting the 10 album. 10 broke the band into the mainstream, and became one of the best-selling alternative albums of the 1990s. The band found itself amidst the sudden popularity and attention given to the Seattle music scene and the genre known as grunge. The single Jeremy received Grammy Award nominations for Best Rock Song and Best Hard Rock Performance in 1993. Pearl Jam received 4 awards at the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards for its music video for Jeremy, including Video of the Year and Best Group Video. 10 was ranked number 207 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, and Jeremy was ranked number 11 on VH1's list of the 100 greatest songs of the 90s. Following an intense touring schedule, the band went into the studio to record what would become its second studio album, Versus, released in 1993. Upon its release, Versus set at the time the record for most copies of an album sold in a week, and spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Versus was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rock Album in 1995. From Versus, the song Daughter received a Grammy nomination for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, and the song Go received a Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock Performance. Feeling the pressures of success, the band decided to decrease the level of promotion for its albums, including refusing to release music videos. 10 years from now, Ament said, "I don't want people to remember our songs as videos." In 1994, the band began a much-publicized boycott of Ticketmaster, which lasted for 3 years and limited the band's ability to tour in the United States. Ament took an active role during Pearl Jam's dispute with Ticketmaster in 1994 over prices and surcharges. Along with Gossard, Ament testified before a congressional subcommittee, arguing that Ticketmaster's practices were anti-competitive. Later that same year the band released its third studio album, Vitalogy, which became the band's third straight album to reach multi-platinum status. The album received Grammy nominations for Album of the Year and Best Rock Album in 1996. Vitalogy was ranked number 492 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. The lead single Spin the Black Circle won a Grammy Award in 1996 for Best Hard Rock Performance. Although Abruzzese performed on the album Vitalogy, he was fired in August 1994, 4 months before the album was released. The band cited political differences between Abruzzese and the other members. For example, he disagreed with the Ticketmaster boycott. He was replaced by Jack Irons, a close friend of Vedder and the former and original drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The band subsequently released No Code in 1996 and Yield in 1998. In 1998, prior to Pearl Jam's US Yield tour, Irons left the band due to dissatisfaction with touring. Pearl Jam enlisted former Soundgarden drummer Matt Cameron as Irons' replacement on an initially temporary basis, but he soon became a permanent replacement for Irons. Do the Evolution received a Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock Performance. In 1998, Pearl Jam recorded Last Kiss, a cover of a 1960s ballad made famous by J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers. It was released on the band's 1998 Fan Club Christmas single. However, by popular demand, the cover was released to the public as a single in 1999. Last Kiss peaked at number 2 on the Billboard charts and became the band's highest-charting single. In 2000, the band released its 6th studio album, Binaural, and initiated a successful and ongoing series of official bootlegs. The band released 72 such live albums in 2000 and 2001, and set a record for most albums to debut in the Billboard 200 at the same time. Grievance received a Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock Performance. The band released its 7th studio album, Right Act, in 2002. Pearl Jam's contribution to the 2003 film, Big Fish, Man of the Hour, was nominated for a Golden Globe Award in 2004. The band's 8th studio album, the eponymous Pearl Jam, was released in 2006. The band released its 9th studio album, Backspacer, in 2009 and its 10th studio album, Lightning Bolt, in 2013. Aside from his musical contributions for the band, Ament has made significant contributions to the band's album artwork. His photography can be found throughout the majority of the band's releases. Other musical projects. Three Fish equals. Ament had a side project band named Three Fish, which he formed in 1994 with Robbie Robb of Tribe After Tribe and Richard Stuverud of the Fastbacks. Three Fish released 2 albums, Three Fish and The Quiet Table. Mirror Ball equals. Ament performed with other members of Pearl Jam on Neil Young's 1995 album, Mirror Ball, and subsequently took part in an 11-date tour in Europe as part of Young's backing band. This tour proved very successful with Young's manager Elliot Roberts calling it one of the greatest tours we ever had in our whole lives. Tone equals. On September 16, 2008, Ament released his first solo album, Tone, through McCready Records. The album features 10 songs written over a span of 12 years. The album's songs feature a raw, experimental sound. 3,000 copies of Tone were pressed and were distributed through independent record stores across the United States as well as through Pearl Jam's official website. The album has also been made available as a digital download via Pearl Jam's official website for $4.99. Tis MTS. On January 24, 2011, Ament announced on Pearl Jam's official website his side project with Doug Pinnick of King's X and Richard Stuverud of the Fastbacks. The band's official Facebook page announced a March 2011 release of their album, Three Mountains, through McCready Records. RNDM. In 2012, Ament started another band with singer-songwriter Joseph Arthur and drummer Richard Stuverud. Other work: Ament had a brief acting cameo in the 1992 movie, Singles, along with Stone Gossard and Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam. He appeared as himself, playing bass in lead actor Matt Dillon's backing band, Citizen Dick. Most of Matt Dillon's wardrobe in the movie actually belonged to Ament. During the making of the film, Ament produced a list of song titles for the fictional band. Chris Cornell took it as a challenge to write songs for the film using those titles, and Spoonman was one of them. The title of Spoonman is credited to Ament in the liner notes for Soundgarden's 1994 album, Superunknown. Ament was also interviewed for the 2001 skateboarding documentary, Dogtone and Z-Boys. With his brother Barry, Ament founded Ames Brothers, an art production company that produces tour posters and album artwork for many bands, including Pearl Jam. Ament is credited with the opening music for Main Street, a webisodic comedy series airing on ESPN.com, starring Kenny Mayne. Musical style and influences: Ament has cited The Who, The Beatles, Aerosmith, Kiss, AC/DC, Sex Pistols, Ramones, The Clash, and Black Flag among his influences. In an interview, Ament stated, "I have to be able to feel the bass. I've worked hard with our producers to make sure that when you play our records on your stereo, you can feel the bass. You might not necessarily be able to hear it all the time, but if you turn it up you can feel the movement in the low end that it's moving the song. And when it's not there, it should be creating a dynamic." Ament makes a major songwriting contribution to Pearl Jam. He wrote the music for one of the band's biggest hits, Jeremy, as well as Nothing Man. His contributions to Pearl Jam's songs have not been limited to music, with Ament having written the lyrics for the Yield Songs pilot, and Low Light, the binaural songs God's Dice, and Nothing As It Seems, Help Help, Other Side, and Sweet Lou. As well as bass contributions, Ament has often provided backing vocals and has played guitar on two of the Pearl Jam songs he had written musically, Smile, and Be Girl. He performs lead vocal duties on Sweet Lou, and also on the Ramones cover I Just Want to Have Something to Do. Early 2011, Ament endorsed luthier Mike Lull, and a signature model was produced, which is available in 4 different colors. Personal life: Ament currently lives in Seattle, Washington and Missoula, Montana. Aside from music, Ament's interests include skateboarding, basketball, graphic design, snowboarding, and wakeboarding. He was a fan and season ticket holder of the NBA's Seattle Supersonics. Ament assisted in financing the construction of Missoula's Mabash Skate Park. He and his partner Pandora Andre Beatty climbed Africa's Mount Kilimanjaro in support of Save the Children. Ament is a supporter of organic farming and United States Senator John Tester. Tester grew up near Big Sandy and Ament knew of Tester before either were famous. Ament campaigned for Tester in 2006. In April 2009, Ament was attacked at knife point by a gang of muggers. According to Rolling Stone, Ament had just pulled up outside the Southern Tracks recording studio in Atlanta, Georgia, when his rented Jeep was attacked by several men, who smashed the vehicle's windows and demanded money. The magazine also reported that Ament was knocked to the ground while trying to escape the robbers. He sustained a head injury and was treated at the scene. His BlackBerry and passport, as well as a sum of cash, were stolen. Discography Green River Discography Mother Love Bone Discography Temple of the Dog Discography Pearl Jam Discography Three Fish Discography Solo Discography Deranged Diction Discography Does MTS Discography RNDM Discography Contributions and Collaborations References. External links: Jeff Ament at AllMusic, Jeff Ament at the Internet Movie Database.